All right, welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast, and this is a review for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And it's directed by David Yates, who had done some of the entries in the Harry Potter series, which this is somewhat based off of. The writers are J.K. Rowling, so now she's writing the books and writing the screenplays. She did that for the last movie. It stars Eddie Redmayne, Catherine Waterston, and Dan Fogler. And the synopsis is the second installment of the Fantastic Beasts series, set in J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, featuring the adventures of Magizoologist Newt Scamander. The way that the movie kind of starts off, it starts off with Newt Scamander just technically on a mission. Catherine Waterston's character, she and Newt had broken up between the first and second movies. Why, I don't know. Just so they can have something to do. So Newt and Tina are broken up. And also the sister, like is it Queenie? She apparently has put a spell on the Dan Fogler guy to make him love her, which seems contradictory to the first movie where he was just really into her.
Yeah.
This becomes a pretty important thing in the story where because he's under the spell of Queenie, Newt finds out and says like, hey, did you trick him into loving you? And it's like, that's not right. You know, he should be able to choose if he loves you or not. So Newt breaks the spell. Dan Fogler's character finds out what happened. And then there's this forced drama situation where they break up. Hey, well, you put me under the spell. That should never happen. I care about you and all this other stuff. She just disappeared. So again, this is very important to the story. What happens is that he meets up with Dumbledore, and Dumbledore sent him on a mission. So, Keith, if you remember from the first movie, it was a guy Credence or whatever the heck they called him, the Obscurial. So he's sending Newt on a mission to find this Obscurial. So it turns out that Credence is somehow in this traveling circus, and he's locked up, hard charging promoter, putting him into slavery. Hey, you need to perform. What happens is that it's in Paris. Eventually, Newt goes there to find him. A lot of time is spent in Paris looking for Credence. There's also another character that shows up that is also looking for Credence that is working with Tina to find him as well. So there's two different groups looking for Credence. And then you also have Grindelwald, who is already shown early on in the movie to also be looking for Credence. So everyone's converging on looking for him. Newt's there to stop him. Grindelwald's there to find him and bring him under his wing. There's the love angle between Nagiri and Credence, so they spend some time trying to figure out his backstory. Credence breaks out of the traveling circus. For some reason, he's looking for his mother. There's a situation where they're playing each side against each other about how Credence's background comes into play. The core of the movie is that different teams looking for Credence. 3 different teams. Grindelwald's looking for Credence. Grindelwald hates Dumbledore. Grindelwald wants to find Credence to kill Dumbledore. And also, Grindelwald corrupts Queen into joining his flock about he wants to deal with the Muggles and the people that do magic. So 3 convergent storylines. Tina and the other character that gets introduced, and Grindelwald. What I kind of thought about this movie, it just seemed boring. Based off of the first movie and how we felt about that first movie, how did you feel about the first movie, Keith?
I was not a fan. I was
as
not
somebody
a fan.
that
I got bored as hell. It was just like, this is ridiculous.
As somebody that appreciates a lot of Harry Potter stuff, I didn't get into that. I've seen some of the movies. The last 2 Harry Potter movies were really good. Maybe only seen 4 of those, and I understand what goes on, all the major characters. As somebody that appreciates this, I think you would despise this movie even more than the first movie. It revolves around, again, people looking for Credence, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the movie, it just ruins everything.
Dumbledore and Grindelwald fight.
No, so the whole point of this, Dumbledore is working with Newt to find Credence, and he's trying to make sure that the Magic Ministry doesn't know it's him trying to find Credence. So the Magic Ministry sent Tina to find Credence. You also have Grindelwald looking for Credence. So Grindelwald is using intermediaries to find Credence. It comes down to the fact that Grindelwald and Dumbledore grew up together. in the
Right.
magic school. Apparently, a relationship happens with Grindelwald. So the way that they play it off on screen is that they embrace hands, hold hands very intimately. Some blood comes out of like both of them into this medallion. They agree never to fight against each other because their love is just so strong. They won't fight each other. Grindelwald wants Credence to kill Dumbledore because he can't do it himself because his love is just too strong for him. Newt is doing that for Dumbledore because Dumbledore's love is too strong for Grindelwald to actually fight him.
They never fought.
Well, at least in this movie, they do not fight because I guess there's still 3 more movies coming from this.
So apparently that's like the big thing in Harry Potter. Like the only way Grindelwald got stopped was that Dumbledore basically imprisoned him.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the movie, which also was confusing to me. I mean, I was a little bit late. Grindelwald was captured at the end of the first movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Colin Farrell turned into Johnny Depp, captured.
Right.
I'm not sure why he's out at the beginning of this movie. It kind of goes off into the X-Men route where you have Charles Xavier and Magneto. Philosophically, they disagree. They can get along if they could.
The books in the movie, like, big reveal was that Dumbledore and Grindelwald were friends. And it was...
Well, they're not just friends in this movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean...
So another thing that comes up is that Newt has a brother who also works for the magic ministry. And I mean, again, it doesn't really serve a purpose because the whole thing kind of comes down to what you would see in X-Men, where Grindelwald, aka Magneto, gets a whole group of people that believe in his philosophy. Let's start the war, or let's try to take over. In this case, Grindelwald starts referencing World War II and what would happen if the humans, the regular people, non-magic people, have control of the world, that they bring the world to their knees, so we have to stop it some way. And then there's like this blue fire thing that he sets off that destroys the meeting place where they are, and then some fire dragon comes out. It goes into why Grindelwald and Dumbledore won't fight each other. They try to figure out what was the background of Credence. Think of it just like Rey's background in Star Wars, where I guess the lore of Star Wars gives Rey, or people want Rey to have a more compelling background than what she does. And this does the exact same thing, that they start alluding to what Credence's background is, but then take it away. And he really is nothing. I guess it's somebody named Corvus Lestrange. Is that a familiar name?
Helena Bonham Carter's relative.
Zoe Kravitz. So she plays Lita Lestrange. And she talks about how she killed this kid, or attempted to kill a kid when she was younger. And then she swapped that kid for another kid, which actually turns out to be Credence. So Credence, Credence thinks that he's a Lestrange, but then it turns out that he's nothing. The whole thing comes down to Johnny Depp's character, Grindelwald, knows Credence's real background, or at least he's alluding to it, that he's actually a Dumbledore.
Okay.
I forgot what name they give him, but it's like, oh, there was another Dumbledore. And to me, the whole stuff goes into WWE. So it's like, well, you have Kane and Undertaker, and then let's just randomly say Mankind is also their brother. I understand Harry Potter. I understand what's going on. Again, I like some of the movies. Some of those movies are fine. I got a little upset as somebody that's not even invested in this about why I sat in the movie theater for almost 2 hours watching something that doesn't really mean anything. Mainly because there's going to be 3 more movies to this. So this doesn't redeem the first movie. The first movie is probably better than this one. But this movie, and I was a little angry by it, so I'm going to give it a 4. There's a couple of problems in the movie. One of the problems is the editing. The editing is like very spastic, and it's like quick cuts, and the action is not very good. The acting in it, Ribman still does that bubbling. Like, all right, whatever. When the story really gets going, all of it is just fluff because you're waiting to figure out who Credence is, and that doesn't mean anything. Trying to figure out the Dumbledore and Grindelwald connection, that doesn't go anywhere. Wait for the next movie.
Okay. Yeah.
3 storylines, 3 groups looking for credence doesn't mean anything. There's another guy that plays Yusuf Kama.
What's his last name?
Kama. Kama.
No, never heard of him.
Character in Harry Potter.
Not sure what that is.
Because he's playing like the brother of Leta Lestrange. I mean, it just gets convoluted. Ezra Miller is just in this piece of crap for like no apparent reason. Maybe you should go back to being the Flash.
God, is that movie still coming out?
I don't know. Maybe this is his only franchise right now. Leta Lestrange is also in a relationship with Newt's brother. And then Tina breaks up with Newt because she thinks that Leta Lestrange was going to get married to Newt Scamander when she's actually getting married to his brother. So that's where like that just starts off kind of wrong. So he has to go apologize. It's like, oh, this never was actually going to happen. Like we were just friends. But any questions, Keith?
How the fuck could Credence be a Dumbledore?
There's a video on YouTube that either says that Johnny Depp's lying and or this is actually going to happen. That somehow the sister that died, that was Dumbledore's sister, had a kid or something. Some crap like that.
This is... Yeah, I'm done.
So, again, it's getting a 4 for me. I will probably see the next one just because I want to see where it goes to. But I had to really, really remember what happened in Fantastic Beasts. Because that movie is so forgettable. So forgettable. But that's Beast Game Podcast.